So today we're talking about creating and sharing digital All About Me books. This presentation is by the GEAR Initiative, and it's offered by the Office of Early Childhood. The goals for today is that you'll know about tech tools that you can use in the creation and sharing of All About Me books for each child, that you can use the creation of these books as a way to get to know children and their families, and to use these books to assist with assessment and sharing information with families. So I'd like to start by reflecting on current practice. Have you made All About Me books or posters or products of that kind with children in the past? I know that was a very common activity when I was a teacher, but I'd love to hear about what folks have been doing. Why do you think that this is a common activity in preschool? And also, what are the benefits of this process? So anyone at all who would like to just unmute and just share your thoughts on these questions, or you can just jot down a response in chat, that would be great. Christy?
Hi.
Hi.
So I'm the curriculum coordinator. I'm not a classroom teacher anymore.
Mhm.
But I know that like the teachers are always looking for ways to get the parents in the room, either figuratively or like in real life. And
Yeah.
especially since like COVID, we've lost a lot of that. So that's why I'm coming in today, because we have our Chromebooks, we have our tech, but a lot of the teachers are feeling a little like, oh, I don't know what to do with that.
Mhm.
And I think they want some of our older teachers are looking to get back into these base activities that we kind of
Okay.
forget about.
Mhm.
So that's why I kind of wanted to see like how can we kind of meet both of those things, together.
Sure.
And I think for the younger teachers, it would be, or I would say newer teachers, I should say, it'd be good to see that it's good to make things instead of buy things and find those things,
Mhm.
what's
Right.
the what's would be great for this process. It'd be a process for the teachers, it'd be a process for the kids to get to know each
Mhm.
other better.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's really what I want to focus on today, is thinking about this as a process, not just an activity, but a process where, there's a lot of things that we can really weave into this. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm glad you're here today, and thanks for sharing your perspective, Christy.
No problem.
Anyone else? Please feel free at any point just to unpause if you want to jump in with a question, a comment. I've got quite a bit of content today and not that long to deliver it, and so I'm going to be kind of running through stuff a bit, but please just interrupt me at any time. I will welcome that. If it's hard for me to see what I'm sharing, and then also, kind of noticing all those little boxes on the side of the screen. And so if I don't see you with a hand raised or looking like you might want to talk, please just jump in. Appreciate it. Okay. So, making books with preschoolers of any type, it's a powerful strategy, right? So as Christy mentioned, maybe getting back to some of those things that we used to do back, in the day before everything was technology. But regardless of whether it's an e-book or electronic or a paper book, book making is a powerful strategy it's really motivating, especially children who might be otherwise reluctant to share ideas or information, or for older children, they might become reluctant writers. Starting with this activity will encourage a love of reading, as children have opportunities to read their own book that's all about them. It inspires creativity and provides a sense of achievement. So in general, those are some of the benefits to doing a bookmaking activity. Now, the power of All About Me really gives us an opportunity to start with children with those things that they know best, right? So if you're asking children to express themselves, to share their own ideas and perspectives, this is a place to start where it's the child's own life experiences, their own interests, their own families, the things that they know really well. So they're coming in with a wealth of that like me knowledge to be able to share. It also provides an authentic means for each teacher to get to know each child, to know about their families, their preferences, their interests, their friendships, so much, about them. So bookmaking is a great activity. Starting with an All About Me as a topic has some real benefits. And teachers always want to start with what their intended outcomes are. And so we want to really think about, okay, what is it that I hope children will learn and get out of this experience if I'm going to engage in it? And I just went through the ELDS, and I'm sure my participants are very familiar with them, but I was very quickly and able to identify several domains and learning progressions that will easily be addressed through this activity. So I've just listed some of them here. In the cognition domain, children will use symbolic representation to share their ideas, because I consider this to be a long-term activity that goes over potentially several weeks or even months. Task persistence and really coming back to and revising and working on something over time. There's a lot of social emotional development because this is really focused on their sense of self and gives them opportunities to express that to the teacher and to peers, to identify their personal preferences, to identify friendships, and for teachers to learn more about those relationships. Additionally, in the language and literacy domain, it hits upon a lot of different areas because of the nature of the activity, but so their expressive language, language for social interaction as they're having conversations about what they're including, knowledge of print and its uses, and conveying meaning through drawing, through letters, words, depending on their developmental levels. Additionally, small motor coordination and developing those muscles in doing all of the work that is fine motor. And then in social studies, it's a great topical experience because the children are really understanding self, family, a diverse community, and expressing their ideas about those things and helping teachers to learn about what they understand about those things. And then also, especially if we revisit this experience or do it over time, understanding change over time as it relates to their own development and growth. So if people are comfortable to share, what are some of your favorite pages to include in an All About Me activity? You can throw those in the chat or just shout them out. What are some things that you think would be good to include?
Favorites. So we're always talking about favorites every day.
Always about favorites, right?
Maybe add in some family photos or have them do self-portrait of their family.
Sounds great. Yeah. I'm going to show a list of things that I often see in these kinds of books. Their name, picture, self-portrait, favorites, favorite toys, favorite foods, favorite colors. So yeah, all of your ideas show up here. You could have a page about their family, their home. I see pets, how I get to school, places I've been, maybe a page about when they were a baby. There are additionally a couple of pages that I had started including when I was a classroom teacher after several years of teaching preschool, because I really came to find that this was an activity that allowed me to learn lots of things about kids, and there was a lot of potential in this activity for me. So this is a couple of things that I also used to include. I included a page where I asked children to talk about their friends in order to learn about their social relationships. But I know that many teachers use the word friend pretty loosely. Like okay, let's sit on the rug, friends, or some teachers call everybody friend or say we are all friends. And if that's occurring, I think sometimes young children can get kind of confused about what we mean by that word. So the way I phrase it is, who do you like to play with in the classroom, as a prompt for this page. And I think that it's really useful because it gives children an opportunity, and especially if you're doing this early in the school year as a getting to know you kind of an experience. um, I wouldn't start with this page. It might be one that I give them some time to actually make some of those, connections and learn some names first. But it gives you an opportunity to know who kids are connecting with. And one of the strategies that I used, which was pretty easy to do, but it was very powerful, is that I created a spreadsheet page with all of the children's names listed down one side of the page and also across the top. And as I queried each child about who they play with, whoever they listed as, kind of favorite playmates, I would just tally it. I just kind of put a check mark and tick those off. And after I'd asked all of the children, I ended up with some really useful data. But I included it as a page in their book. And then additionally, I ask about play preferences. So on another page, learning from each child where they like to play and with which toys and materials. So again, it's just a nice page to have in there because it's all about them and their preferences. The prompt I use, what are your favorite things to play in school? And again, I put the list of kids' names down one side and the list of learning centers across the top and just kind of do a very quick tally of that. But both of those things give the teacher a lot of information, not only about each child, but also your group as a whole. And so as you're, discussing each topic with children, you're really getting to know them better. And then I was able to take those matrices that I created and really at a glance have some important, useful information to make some decisions about my role as a teacher and thinking about my next steps regarding how to support peer-to-peer relationships, and also if I felt like modifications were needed in my classroom, right? Because you think if you're going to notice in doing so that there are going to be certain children that are listed by many as preferred playmates. There might be children who are only listed by few. You might unfortunately have some children who nobody names as a friend. So that's good information to know, right? And then to take that knowledge and think about next steps, as the intentional teacher always does, right? How am I going to support this child to make connections with other children? And then likewise, if there are only a few learning centers in the classroom that are listed by all children as being preferred, do you need to make those bigger? Do you need to add more materials there? Or thinking about, centers that are not as appealing and how you might make those adaptations. So just kind of an aside, but some other outcomes that can come from doing this kind of an activity when you're really thoughtful about the questions that you're asking, because it's a way of gathering lots of great data. So traditionally, back when I was a teacher, I was just doing these on paper. These were paper books that I was creating. I was putting them out in the classroom for other children to see. Ultimately, I was handing them out and giving them to families. Using technology gives us a lot more flexibility and options. Some teachers are concerned in general about use of technology with young children, but I just wanted to share that according to NIAC, technology, when used appropriately and with intention, can be an effective tool to support learning and development. And additionally, in the ELDS Social Studies Strand C, we see that children understand the use of tools, including technology, for a variety of purposes. So if we're going to use technology in order to create these long-term projects, we can really hit upon and meet both of those needs. So where to begin? If you're going to do this using technology, you need to begin by choosing a system for organizing your pages. I've got an example that I'll share, and I just simply used PowerPoint for that. I found it really easy. It was quick. Most people have access to a basic PowerPoint. program. You could also use Google Slides for those of you who are using Google Classroom or, other online tools. Teachers have created some beautiful templates, and I found a bunch of those available online. Some of them are for, a small fee, but some are free. So you can really look around and find an overall system that's going to work for you and that appeals to you. Once you've chosen that system, there are many different tools that are readily available. Most of us have access to these at this point. So whether you're using a tablet, it could be an iPad or, really any tablet, a phone, smartphone, or a PC, you probably have access to a camera, a video camera, a voice recorder, which I find is something that teachers are really underutilizing and not always thinking about, but that is such a powerful and easy tool to use. So a voice recorder, even on my phone, I can go into notes and I can just hit the microphone picture and I can just start talking, and it turns my my voice to text. So that is a really powerful thing that we can use for dictation. When children are talking about something and we want to include a language sample within the book, something that they're describing about their family picture, for example, and we can just throw that in there as an audio file that you can just tap on it and it will play and you'll hear their words. You can also just easily turn it into text and have those things available. And then internet images for really young children who are not yet capable of drawing to represent their ideas, something that's really identifiable. I like to be able to give young children some options of different basic images so that they could choose one if they want to put that in there as their illustration of their idea. So just something simple like if you want to include favorite animal, you could have a page where you've just cut and paste, copy and pasted some basic images from the internet onto a document and just have the child look and choose the one that they want to include and just do a copy and paste right into their document. So I suggest for looking for really good internet images, Pixabay. So it's Pixabay.com. Royalty free. There are millions of images in there. They're high quality. You have permission to use them for free, not breaking any copyright laws or anything by copying and using those. So that's a great site. The only, the thing that I would not want people to do is to just go to that site live with a child and kind of look at everything that's in there, because there will be some adult content. I know there's a filter on my machine that will blot that out unless I choose to select it, but I just think that it's probably safest in a classroom to just pre-select some images, copy and paste them right into a document so that you have more control over what children might come in contact with. But all of those are really simple, free, available products that you can use as tools to create these documents. So I'm going to share with you just an example of something that I created. It's completely fictitious. I just went in and used a bunch of free images and different tools in order to create this. And so I'm just going to flip through the pages kind of quickly and show you an example of what this electronic All About Me book might look like. And then I'll do a demonstration for you inside the template that I created, which I'll be sharing with you if you'd like to use it. You can certainly modify it, delete pages, add pages, but I'll show you how I actually use some of the tools in order to do the creation. It's really basic stuff. You probably know these already, but I'll take a few minutes to show you. So here's an All About Me cover page with the picture of the child, her name. It's really important to date these. Very useful to remember afterwards, like when these things were created. On the next page, I included a self-portrait. I also included the child's own writing of their name if they're capable of doing that. I included an opportunity to check in with families. You could always prompt families. This would be a great family involvement activity, is just asking folks to share with you how they chose the child's name. Might be really interesting to learn about a child, and something you could include in there. You can include images, pictures that the family supplies to you, include the child's nickname and their maybe how they prefer to be referred to. And then I've got a page in here where there's just some basic information, and you could certainly decide what you think is important to include. I included the child's birth month, their age, their eye color, a description of their hair, and I used different tools, just images that I pulled out of Pixabay that I was able to save to downloads and then just insert into the pages. So I just wanted to kind of demonstrate that. If you include some favorites, it's really easy to find beautiful pictures of foods and different things, and let the child, choose that image that they would like to supply. An image of the family. So another family connection would be asking if they could supply you with a family photo or a couple of pictures that could go into the book. In this case, I did use the voice recorder to just record the child giving a description of their family, and then converted that to text to just insert that there. For this page, sometimes teachers will ask children about their homes, and that can work very well. Sometimes parents will supply a picture of the house, or in this case, I actually used Google Maps, and I put in an address and it just brought me right to this house. But then I used the street view, and I kind of panned out to just sort of show the street itself. I think it's really important to be sensitive to people's feelings about what they want to share, about where they live. For some children, they may be temporarily homeless. They could be living in a shelter or living, sleeping on someone's couch. So it's just really important to be sensitive around this particular conversation. So for this example, I chose to just kind of go with a more global neighborhood as a concept. But when I uploaded the picture even of this street, I then did a filter on it so that it was a little more nondescript, because I want to be sensitive too about whether or not you want to actually include someone's exact address in something if it's going to be then shared, with people beyond their family. So there are some considerations to be made about which things you want to actually share and with whom. My pet hamster, if the family can provide an image, you could include their actual pet if they have one. If a child doesn't have a pet, again, being sensitive to that, and not to make children feel badly that other children might have pets and they can or don't. You could also just ask about favorite animals. So certainly change it up and ensure that it's meaningful for each child. In this case, I just found a free image of a hamster online and just inserted it there. You may talk to them about how they get to school each day, and that could be a really interesting conversation. And you could supply for them some different images, again, that they could upload. Maybe they come in a bus or a car, or they walk, and another description of that transition from home to school, which can be a really nice conversation to have to connect with children. Again, that conversation you had with them about their friends. I would never put a picture of other people's children in someone's All About Me book, but you could use this kind of a thing from, that you find online. You could just list their list of the children's names or their description of, what they like to do together. And then my favorite thing to play at school. So an actual picture of the child using that material is not hard to get, especially if it's their favorite. You're probably going to have a chance of, to see them doing it. Better would be a video clip of the child actually engaging. So, if they're stacking blocks or, making some sort of a creation, or if they're outside, engaging in gross motor play. And they're really excited that they can go across those monkey bars. Just getting a very short video clip of them doing so is another thing that you could capture and just upload here. So I'm going to take a break. I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. Going to do a quick check-in just to kind of see if anyone has any questions or comments or ideas at this point that you'd like to share. We can certainly chat for a moment. And then I will just do a demonstration of how I put some of those pieces into the document. So, any thoughts?
I had a question. How could you say incorporate this in a open house family engagement?
Great question. I think open house is an opportunity to maybe talk about this project. If it's something that you are going to embark on, it's going to take a while to get to actually create these for every child in your classroom, especially since it really requires some individual one-on-one conversations with children and working with them to create each page. But I think that it's something that you could talk about at open house and just kind of let them know we're really excited about this project we're going to be embarking on. One of the things that you could help us with as parents, like you could give them maybe a list of a handout that gives a list of some of the things that you might need from them. Like if you could supply a picture of your family, if you could give a description of, whatever it is that you want to include in there. Think about ways that families might be able to contribute content for that project. And that would be a great opportunity for you to have that conversation with them. And then, as we'll discuss later, one of my strategies is to actually use the finished product as a way of having that conversation with individual families during conferences.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so if there aren't any other interest in sharing, I'm sorry, and Letitia, there was a question that had been placed in the chat. There is no interpretation in Spanish, not of this particular training, although when it is placed up online, there will be some, I'm so sorry, I just lost my, there we go. There will be a translation of the training content into Spanish. And I will also share with you a way that you can translate the tool that I'll be sharing with you into Spanish. I don't know Spanish, and so if I attempted to do that, it might not be a very good translation, but there are tools that you can certainly use. Okay. So next, I'm going to share with you a template that I created. It's so basic. It's just very, very basic. I didn't put any kind of fancy anything on it because I think that adding the design elements to this is something that you could include each child to do very easily with, if let's say you are using PowerPoint. So you're seeing now the cover page that I did, and it's very basic, and I just left little areas for you to add in the things that you would be adding in. But you can go to design in here and you could let the child choose among all of the designs that are available right at the beginning. And so then every child's creation would be unique, right, to their own preferences. They can choose colors and things like that. Or we can just keep it plain for the purposes of this demonstration. Now, adding in the child's name, an older child could actually use a keyboard to type their name in. You might use their name tag for them to find those letters. Once they add that in, you can give them options also for just like in a Word document where you can let them choose their font. You can choose their color of the text, the font color, so they can really get creative with those things and So that's all learning, right, about the tool and the technology. For you can include the child to the extent that they are capable, or you can do those things for them and, model it for them. Right here is where you can just insert a photo. So if a parent has supplied the photo, or if you have taken it yourself, you can just upload that to a folder on your own machine. And while you're in PowerPoint, you would just hit insert and you would just go to pictures, and that will bring up whatever you have saved there, and you could just hit upon, that picture, and it's just going to insert. It will just come right into your document. Same thing with the self-portrait. So for a self-portrait, you could have the child actually do that within a tech device. They could create a self-portrait using something like Paint, which is available and it's free and it's in most devices. You could have them actually create it right in there using a mouse if they're on a PC, or using their finger or a stylus pen, and actually draw and make that digital file. Or they can use paper and pencils and crayons and paints, whatever they want to use, and create a self-portrait, and then you just take a picture of it, and then that image is something that you save in order to then insert it in. Or you can scan it, and once you scan it, it will turn it into a digital file. For the name, you could have a child, you could take a picture or scan of a child's name, right, that they've written, and just insert that right in. Could include content that you received from families if that was something that you had asked them to do. Maybe they email in that description and you just cut and paste the text right in there. Let me see. For this page, I just had a list of different prompts. You could think about whatever content you want to include in there, but what I did was I inserted a table, and you can just make it as many boxes as you need for depending on how many different items you want to include. And then you can simply just type right into those boxes. Or if you already kind of have a list like I had of what I want to go in there, I just Control copy and Control paste it right into those boxes. And then after that, I used that Pixabay tool, and I added some of those images just through cut and paste. Again, here you're just inserting an image. So again, like if the child is old enough to do a portrait of their family, that would be a wonderful thing to include. And it really, anytime that they can draw a picture, that gives you a lot of data about their development, right? Or you could include that picture that the family has provided for you. Here is a place where you can then add in that audio recording. So I just want to show you how to easily do that. When you are in PowerPoint and you go to insert over here on the top right, there's an option for importing video. You could do that from online. Let's say if you had a video of a child that was in YouTube or somewhere, that you save it as a program, or if it's something that is a file that's saved right onto your PC. You just click on that, it'll bring up your file manager, and you could just click on whatever file it is and insert, and it'll put that video right in there. And for audio, you have two options. You can either, same thing, find an audio file that might be available already that you've saved to your device, or you can record the audio right there while you have this open on your device. So if you were sitting looking at this page with the child, you could say, tell me about your family, and then you could open that audio recording, just hit this red button and it will start recording. And whatever the child says will be recorded and saved right to that page. And afterwards, you could always, if you chose, you could take that and convert that to text and put the text on the page as well. especially if you are planning on printing these out. If you do decide that you want to make these into actual hard copy books and you want to print them, then you might want to put the actual dictated child's ideas right there. Okay. Where I live, and so I'll show you something that I did here if I can get to it. There's another tool that you can use when you are in your computer. It's called Snip. And if you don't already know what that is, if you just search through your apps, SNIP, it will likely just pop up. And it's something that you can use to just make little like screenshots of something that you have open. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. That's how I got that that one image from Google Maps. And then finally, this page, I wanted to just show that these are some images that I had taken from Pixabay, and I just got some that I thought would work for this page and put them down as different options. Just to make this page a little bit easier, you could ask the child like, oh, how do you get to school? And then they can just select whichever item, you know, is appropriate. If coming in the car is what they do, you could teach them to select these and just hit delete. And they can just delete out the others, and you can teach them how to do a drag to make something bigger. Then they could control and decide how big they want to make it on their page or small. You can teach them how to select and move it around on the page so they can do the placement. You can even format the picture, and you can select over here. You've got lots of different options, but they could change the color of the picture and even decide like what color to make that vehicle. So there are lots of options, and they're very quick and easy to do, but on each of these, it gives a different, you know, opportunity for the child to learn some strategy for using technology. We want to make this a project where the children can do as much of it themselves as they are able, and make it an opportunity for learning as well as thinking about that final product. So my favorite thing to play at school, again, if you wanted to do that video, you just come up here, you'd have to, you know, select or create that video in advance and save it as a file on your PC or whatever device you're on, and then you'd be able to just find it here and import it. So that is not saving the changes because I want to be able to share those with you. And then I'm just going to share one more thing, just an example of that snipping tool. This is that tool called Snip, and what I was able to do. Are you able to see my screen right now? Can you? Yes. So you should see a picture of a car driving on a road. So I went into Google Maps, I threw in an address, it took me to a place, I clicked on Street View, and from there you can actually do like a 360 rotation. You can move down the street, up the street, you could find, you know, have the child actually show you like driving down the road, oh, there's my house. And then you just use the tool, you say news shot, and you just kind of click and drag it, and it will just make a copy of that portion of the picture that you select, and then you just hit copy. And after that, you're able to actually just paste it right into your product. So I'm going to, oh darn, it says it was paused. I don't know that you saw that. Okay, now I'm just moving back into my PowerPoint to finish up the presentation. Okay, so once you have created using whatever tool you choose, whatever topics you choose for pages, you can use a variety of those different tools to include all of the content. include the child to the extent possible in creating these. Know that it's going to take several weeks or even months, and that this is an opportunity for you to be interacting with children and learning about them while also producing these creations. Once you've finished creating whatever it is you're going to make, you can use these in a lot of different ways. And one way is to let children share their own story with their peers. So one way you could do this is if you have a smartphone, a smart board or a projector in your classroom, you could open one of these files and use it as like a slideshow and project it. You could feature one child each day and allow them to share pre-selected slides with their class. You can choose which slides are going to show and not show. So if you don't have time for them to do their entire book, you could decide which of those to include and let the child just talk about it and share it with their class to their comfort level. Another way to do that, another thing you could do is you could choose to share about every child in one presentation. Let's say you just copied and pasted all of their pages of their self-portraits, and you put them into a new document of all of the class's self-portraits. Then you could just click through them and let each child, talk about it and share with the class, or you could let them, try to guess who they think the picture depicts in the class. And it's just a nice way to build community and to get everyone to know each other better. Another fun one is to do baby pictures if their families supply those, and the children can try to guess, who that baby is, things like that. You could also have them share one-on or in pairs with a peer. So you could have these documents available for them to share, pair them up with using like a tablet or an iPad, and let them share their books with each other. Again, they've identified for you who their friends are, right? And who they like to interact with. So you could use that information in making decisions about how you partner them up. You could also be really strategic about partnering up a child who's very gets along with everyone, maybe with one of those children that is having more difficulty connecting with a peer. This is a great opportunity for them to get to know each other and really start building real relationships. And then this is my favorite use of these. While a paper book, All About Me, is a wonderful gift to share with a family, a digital book can be shared with multiple family members. And this was something that was always a challenge for me when I was a teacher. If I had parents who were maybe not living in the same house, but they were co-parenting, and now you've created this beautiful item, but it's really expensive for a lot of programs to be making duplicates of these, especially if you're laminating and you're really trying to make something that's going to last. So, a digital book can just be shared with multiple people. It's really more equitable. If you give it to a parent and they want to share it with a grandparent or another caregiver, that's in their family or of their choosing, they have that option. And coming back around to the question earlier about engaging families, one of my favorite uses of the All About Me books is when I was a preschool teacher. It was after several years of doing this work, and I one year had this idea about using their All About Me books to use during parent-teacher conferences. And I used each family's, child's book to guide my entire discussion with them about the child's development, about their friendships, about their favorite activities in the classroom, to demonstrate to them how much that I understood and learned and knew about their child, and to give them opportunities to help me to know their children even better. It was a wonderful way to focus on relationships, and I had really integrated a lot of that child development assessment kind of language right into in a more authentic way. Not like, okay, now we're talking about assessment and this is the tool. It was just a really kind of organic way of having a conversation with them about their child, and they loved it. It was just really powerful and very, very effective. And parents told me that they really enjoyed those conferences, and then they had this gift that they could take back home with them. I also did some slideshows, pictures of, children doing different things in the classroom that I kind of had available and kind of running on a loop. But with these electronic All About Me's, you could certainly just have it on a laptop or on a screen or even on a big screen if you have that, and be clicking through to really guide those conversations. So that's the ways that I think that they would be very useful. And then finally, using them for developmental assessment. So some programs do electronic portfolios. I really think that the All About Me book could double as a portfolio. You could certainly, it doesn't have to be a finite project that you end and kind of send home and move on. It could be something that you just keep adding to throughout the year. Or it could be something you do in the fall and then you revisit and do it again in the spring, and use it as a way for children to look back on their fall book in order to reflect and think about and talk about how they've changed, how they've grown, new things that they now know how to do. And it will just show lots of different examples, drawing samples, writing samples, language samples, that will really demonstrate their growth over time. And all of those pages just become artifacts and data points that you can use as pieces of evidence for assessment purposes. So I think there's a lot of power in these projects. I think they're a lot of fun to do. They're enjoyable, and families certainly love them, and so do the kids. So that is what I bring to you. And this is just one example of, a drawing and how it, whether it's created on paper or scanned or photographed, you can use this to hit upon so many different assessment items, right? Drawings are really powerful assessment tools. So, sorry. So when you do revisit this over time, it really helps with that reflection. And it's also a useful product to complement discussions with families as children, about children's progress and their growth over time for those kids who stay with you for an extended period of time. So, basically, I feel like creating these books, it's a powerful way. You really can get to know children and their families, learn about their prior experiences, their interests, their preferences. It helps you learn not only about individual children, but also about your class as a whole. You can use it to build relationships and to document growth and development. But when you do so digitally, then you can organize them and easily share them with families and peers. So that is what I brought. I'd really love, we've got about 5 minutes, but I'm actually available. I can stay longer if anyone else can too, but I would love to hear your reactions or other ideas that you have or any questions.
I'm thinking of doing, like all my notes here are about doing a staff meeting where the teachers make their own books about themselves.
Ooh.
So that like we can kind of like model the behavior. So because we just finished NIAC a year ago. Yay.
Congratulations. That's
And
good work.
we're transitioning also to like online dots and things like that. So they're really in that place to look at all the different standards, the pieces, and like and to do like a make it and take it of themselves would kind of really cement those things. So I'm thinking like in October to do that and see what like an infant, a toddler, and a preschool one would look like if we talked about it.
Neat. I love that a lot. And I love anything that's a parallel process, right? So
Mhm.
when you experience it, then it kind of cements in those ideas about kind of how that feels, right? To be affirmed and acknowledged and have that opportunity for people to learn, more about you.
Yeah,
Nice.
and I was thinking too, like that I had written down turns into a portfolio, and I was thinking about that until you said it, and I was thinking like as they go along, especially in preschool rooms, like with each theme they do, say like monthly theme, maybe a page gets added into it. So don't try to do it all, because it's like, I want to do this all right now. I'm so excited. But like if you know you're going to talk about nutrition and foods in January, keep the favorite foods, keep the recipes and things like that for that time, and just build rather than trying to shove it all in when it's not really, it's too much for the kids to take in,
Yep.
and just do it
Yeah.
slowly across time.
No, that's a great idea. Yeah, and then that makes it so much more authentic, right? Because it makes that self to topic connection, right?
Yeah.
Which is something we always want to do. We want to anything that we're teaching about, we want to be able to make those real world connections for kids.
Yeah.
So nice. Great ideas. Any other questions or comments, or if you are looking for, if you need me to take some more time to demonstrate any of those, I know I didn't have much time, so I was like really quickly just clicking through, but if anybody wants to stay on after I turn off the recording, and I can help you with any of those pieces of the technological strategies.
Hi there, Terry. My name
Hi.
is Erin. Hi. I noticed that you used PowerPoint, and that is amazing, and I love what you did. I also wanted to extend on that and just say that I've been using Canva.com, and it is free for educators as well. You don't need to get the pro and pay money monthly, but they also have a wide variety of different presentations and ways that you can utilize the sound and the clip art, and their library of free elements is what I should say is outstanding. So I did want to throw that out there as well, to have it all in one place also.
Erin, can you repeat that?
It's canva.com, so CANVA.
CANDA. Okay. Thank
Yes.
you.
And I
And
just threw that
oh,
into
sorry.
the chat. No, I threw it into the chat. I'm also throwing Pixabay into the chat. Just
Yeah,
for,
Pixabay, that's amazing too. I've been using Canva for quite some time now, and I use it for almost everything that I do paper wise, or digitally, for my families, and I cannot say any more exciting things about it. I literally promote it to everyone I talk to because it's just a great place for even worksheets, to create your own worksheets or flyers and presentations at the best. And you can do music over your presentation as well and animate it. Pretty cool. It's fun to get used to.
thank you for sharing that, Erin. It's funny you say that because I actually pay for a Canva subscription. And so it is amazing and I love it, but I didn't realize that they had a free version for teachers. So I'm
For
really glad to
educators,
know that.
yes. If you, I would Google it. I don't know the exact place to find the educator portion or what you need to use to state that you're the educator, because I've done it so long ago and I do not remember at this point, but it is, I know that it is free for educators.
Okay. Wonderful. That is so good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, and
there's
if
a lot of
not, I
amazing
believe
tools.
it's $12.99 a month I was paying.
Okay. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that there are things out there that are really fancy and that can do amazing things. And I was just trying to stick for the purpose of this presentation to something that I thought I knew would be free and easy for everyone.
Right.
But yeah, and as time goes on, I mean, they're just going to keep coming out with these things that we can't even imagine yet, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Oh, there is one additional thing that strategy that I forgot to mention, so I'm just going to quickly say it, and that is that when you're finished creating whatever you create, and I'm assuming Canva can do this as well, but in PowerPoint, you can actually record the entire presentation. So thinking of it as an All About Me book, if you wanted to capture the child actually reading their book after it's completed, you can just go into slideshow, and then you just click on record slideshow, and it'll show page by page, and you just forward each page. So you could open it up and say to the child, like, read your book to me. And whatever the child says about the book, you could capture their voice, just kind of narrating the entire thing from beginning to end, and then have that as an audio file as well. Back in the day, I had created these books, and I sat with each child with a little tape recorder, really dating myself, and I recorded them reading their book to me. And then afterwards I sat and I transcribed each child's description, which took a very long time, many evenings of my time to do. And today you could just like push a button and it will just automatically turn that, to text. But it was amazing because the richness of those language samples, there was just, so much there that I could use for assessment. So that's just another strategy that you could add at the end of the project. Or you could have a parent reading the child's book and record that and have that available in your classroom for the child to listen to. So lots of possibilities. Okay, so we've come to the end of our time, and I'm going to go ahead and just complete my presentation for the purpose of the recording, but then I will turn it off and I'll be available if anyone else has anything that you'd like my help with. I am available. So, and I leave you with this reflection. So as you leave this conversation today, what is one tech tool you might use to create All About Me books for each child? What method might you use to share them with families? And how could this long-term project be utilized in a cycle of intentional teaching? And that concludes our training for today, creating and sharing digital All About Me books. Thank you so much for your participation.